seriously, if you only knew how much money they have taken from me, how much they have stolen from me. I should have been able to retire 20 years ago with the money I've made. But there are key people that have been driving the ships. And what they've been doing is improperly representing me, improperly stealing from me, taking things in their own hand, changing and switching lanes because they knew I didn't know that word. So what I'm doing now is whatever is necessary to make sure they pay me for the legacy of my life, for my children and my grandchildren. They're going to have to give me my money. I mean, when you sit back and think Bruno Mars, Dr. Dre, when you think about all these people that have sampled music, if they're filthy rich on it, what's our problem? But everybody that works hard for over 50 years should be able to retire in peace, should be able to sit back without looking for your money. And if I never get it, at least you heard it from me, because I don't know what they might do to keep from paying me all the money they owe me.
I don't want to know what they might do to keep from paying me all the money they owe me. Those were some of Angie Stone's last words of one of her last ever IG videos. Right now, this feels like a prediction because unfortunately, Angie Stone died on March 1st, 2025.
And for Angie Stone to be getting killed by a white man the last night of Black History Month in the city limit of Montgomery, Alabama, which is the Black history capital of this nation, to get killed by a white truck driver and for him to just sleep peacefully on the streets to do it all over again. Now tell me how that makes sense.
Now, we've all been told that Angie Stone died in a car accident, but did she really? There are too many parts of this story that don't add up. Too many parts of this story that will have you asking, what exactly happened? But I'm just going to give y'all the facts, and from there, y'all can make your own conclusions. One of the many reasons why the Angie Stone story is disturbing is because the diddler's name is mentioned. It's because Clive Davis is also connected to the story. It's because they almost ended her life before by injecting her with a bacterial infection, because there were 9 people in the van with Angie when this accident happened, and somehow Angie is the only one to lose her life. And this because Angie died right after she started asking Universal Music Group for her money.
But to think that this woman was in the business for all of these years, and there's a difference between performing because you want to and performing because you have to. All of those years, all of those songs, all of that money that was owed to her, where is it? It's wrong. It is wrong. And I'm tired of seeing us struggle and go through things and work hard and not reap the benefits of what we were supposed to reap.
That was Tyler Perry speaking at Angie Stone's video, asking the same question that Angie asked after supposedly dying in a car accident. Angie died in an accident right after she started asking for her royalties. And this is why many people aren't convinced that this is just an accident.
Like, this woman wanted her royalty, and then suddenly, exactly like Whitney Houston, accident. She's the only one who passed away. Everyone else is fine.
Yeah. I ain't buying it. I'm not buying it.
What do you not buy?
I'm not buying the fact that can't nobody see that this looks like exactly what I believe it is, allegedly a sacrifice.
However, it would be totally wrong to tell this story without talking about or ignoring Angie Stone's legacy. Angie was born into one of those families where music, oxygen to them. They lived and breathed music. Every room, every part of her family was connected to music. You had Angie's mom always singing around the house and her father singing gospel at any spot around town. Angie was an only child. With this kind of background, it was almost impossible for her not to make music. So Angie eventually became one of those pioneers and legends in every sense of the word. Angie Stone helped form a group called The Sequence, the first all-female rap group. Angie was only 16 years old when this group began. The Sequence weren't just the first female rap group, they were also quite successful. They had the hit Funk You Up, which has been sampled by Dr. Dre and Bruno Mars. After the group disbanded in 1985, Angie became a member of another group called Vertical Hold. It was after this that Angie Stone had her solo run and also worked as a songwriter for MCA Records. Uptown Records was housed under MCA, and Uptown Records was also the label where Puffy just an intern.
In that time period was a very young Puffy, Sean Puffy Combs, that had really been busting his chops to appeal to Andre Harrell as the intern of life. He was getting it in. I mean, that was when Albie Shore was there. That was when Jodeci was there. That was when Mantronic was hot.
During this period, Diddy was just working his way up the ladder. And according to Angie, Brother Love was a hard worker. Angie Stone and Diddy barely talked or had any relationship during this time. But after some time, that would all change. Their first real conversation was when Diddy walked up to Angie out of nowhere and asked her to pray for him.
On this particular day, I was coming off the elevator. I will never forget it as long as I live. And Puffy came to me, first time, speaking to me as a decent human being. And he said, "Hey, Miss Stone." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fine. I'm shocked you speaking to me." He said, "Miss Stone, would you please pray with me?" I said, "Well, of course." When he asked me to pray with him, I believe at that moment Puffy was terrified for his life. I think that he was afraid because all of the things that had gone out and about that party, they were singling him out, and I don't think that he thought he was going to survive it. And I was just happy that whenever he didn't speak to me, I knew he couldn't see me. But on this day, he saw the God in me, which was so not about me, but it was so about the spirit that I carried. And I can honestly tell you that this particular day, I stood there and I prayed with Sean, P. Diddy, Puffy, Combs.
This will be one of the times when Angie would talk about Diddy. The next time, Diddy was a totally different person. He had grown and now become dangerous. Now remember, during their first meeting when Angie prayed for him, Diddy was just an intern. Now, allegedly, word on the street is that Puffy might have been abused by some of the most powerful men in the music industry himself, the likes of Clive Davis. Again, allegedly. Clive Davis was also the owner of J Records, the record label that Angie Stone was signed to. And Clive has one of the most notorious reputations in the industry. Clive Davis is the man who let a pre-Grammy party go on in the same building, same hotel as Whitney Houston died in just a few hours early.
You were, I think, going to go to the Clive Davis party.
Yes.
It was a surreal event where Whitney's body was still in the hotel, and there was this sort of party where apparently half the room were in tears, the other half were kind of partying. What did you feel about that?
I thought that was complete insanity. And knowing Whitney, I don't believe that she would have said, the show must go on. She was the kind of woman that would say, stop everything. I'm not going to be there. I don't know what could motivate a person to have a party in a building where the person whose life he had influenced so enormously and whose life had been affected by her. So they were like, I don't understand how that party...
Clive Davis was Whitney Houston's mentor, which made this incident more shocking. Unfortunately, this is the same man that Angie Stone was signed to. And just like many other artists, Angie Stone claimed that she was being cheated and not being paid her royalties.
If you only knew how much money they have taken from me, how much they have stolen from me, I should have been able to retire 20 years ago with the money I've made. But there are key people that have been driving the ships. And what they've been doing is improperly representing me, improperly stealing from me, taking things in their own hand, changing and switching lanes because they knew I didn't know that part. And even though they were taking care of themselves, they thought very little of taking care of me.
Angie Stone stated that UMG purchased her publishing secretly and was not paying her royalties. Angie was determined to do whatever it took to get what she was owed. This is why she made the Instagram live videos to expose the record company and ensure they can't twist the narrative in their favor. Angie was a single mother, and all she wanted was to be able to use the money she had made to take care of her children and grandkids.
One way or the other, Universal Music, you're going to have to give up my coins. So what I'm doing now is whatever is necessary to make sure they pay me for the legacy of my life, for my children and my grandchildren. They're going to have to give me my money.
Angie revealed that even after over 50 years in the industry, she found herself still doing a lot of shows, not because she wanted to, but because she needed to do these shows to survive, so she could provide for her family. Angie has a record that has gone gold. She has several songwriting credits. She has been sampled by Dr. Dre and then sampled by Bruno Mars on a song that topped the chart in 19 countries, topped the Billboard Hot 100, and certified 11 times platinum. So she shouldn't have to struggle to make ends meet.
I mean, when you sit back and think Bruno Mars, Dr. Dre, when you think about all these people that have sampled music, if they're filthy rich on it, what's our problem? But everybody that works hard for over 50 years should be able to retire in peace, should be able to sit back without looking for your money. And if I never get it, at least you heard it from me, because I don't know what they might do to keep from paying me all the money they owe me.
Unfortunately, Angie Stone joined the long list of artists who shockingly die after requesting their royalty from the record company. Angie talked about having to do shows because the record company had stolen from her. So she had to do many shows so she could pay her bills. Well, it was a while coming from one of these shows that Angie Stone eventually lost her life. On March 1st, at about 4 a.m., Angie was in a Sprinter van with her band coming back from a show in Alabama, heading to another show in Atlanta. Alongside her band members and the driver, there were a total of 9 people in the car, but only Angie Stone lost her life in this accident. The Mercedes Sprinter van flipped about 3 or 4 times before it eventually crashed. However, contrary to several reports, Angie Stone wasn't dead yet. An eyewitness who was driving down the same road with her daughter noticed the accident and came out of her car to drag Angie out of the car wreck.
Here's the story. About 4 a.m. on Saturday morning, me and my daughter were driving to Charleston, South Carolina for her Sweet 16 birthday getaway. We came up to a truck with a trailer and its flashers were on, so we slowed down some, and that's when I noticed there was an overturned vehicle in the fast lane. And it looked like it just happened. I pulled over, I put my flashers on, and I told my daughter to stay in the car, and I ran over. It was a van, and I ran over, and there were so many people in this van, and they were just trying to get out. And I asked if they'd called the cops, and they said, we're just trying to get out. And they were helping this woman out off the side of the van, and I grabbed her hand and I helped her get down, and she seemed out of it, and I was holding her hand and she was wobbling around, and I said, baby, you got to sit down. And then the next thing I know, I flew and I fell down to the ground, and it felt like something not ran over me, but brushed over me. Like something just swiped over my body. And I got up and I could hear screaming, and I just focused in on one screaming, and it was my daughter. And all I could do was run across the highway and tell her to get back in the car. She had to move the car because if somebody else hit us, it could hit her. So she moved the car farther up the interstate, and I called 911, and they said they were on their way. And then all I could think to do was get to my daughter. And that's all I could do in that time. And when I was walking to my daughter, we're really running the best that I can do. I was in so much pain. My chest felt like an elephant was sitting on it. My legs were so hurt and sore. And I looked up, and there was an 18-wheeler that had crossed the median into oncoming traffic. And I knew that's what hit me and ran over and brushed over me, was the 18-wheeler. And my daughter's freaking out. She'd already called my husband by then and my father-in-law. And I just told her, we've got to get to the hospital. I can't breathe. It was so hard to breathe. I'm going to post a video of the 18-wheeler after I left the hospital, driving back through to get to my husband and my son. I will not be posting the vehicle in the video because somebody did pass away. They did. And I won't be posting that for respect for their family. I'm sore, I'm bruised all on the right side of my body. I'm very stiff everywhere. But I will keep you guys updated, and the video is gonna come at the end, okay? Hug your family tight. Hug your family tight. Bye.
One strange fact about the video you just saw is that the woman deleted it from her page right after she posted it. Then she never talked about it or posted about the video and the incident ever again. And after Angie was pulled out of the Sprinter van, an 18-wheeler lost control, crossed the median to the other side, and unfortunately hitting Angie. But a lot of people are not believing that this was just an accident.
Like, this woman wanted her royalty, and then suddenly, exactly like Whitney Houston, accident. She's the only one who passed away. Everyone else is fine.
Yeah. I ain't buying it. I'm not buying it.
What do you not buy?
I'm not buying the fact that can't nobody see that this looks like exactly what I believe it is, allegedly, a sacrifice.
And according to Jaguar Wright, Angie lost her life because UMG refuses to pay what they owe her. Instead, Jaguar believes that Angie might have been sacrificed. Okay, Jaguar.
What do they want?
What do you mean? They want their payment. They want their pound of flesh. They want you to keep feeding the system. Doesn't matter how hard she worked for it. That's not her money. That's their money. That's what they do. They've been robbing me for years.
Yep.
They stole more money from me than they stole from Angie. I can't stop thinking about Nick Carter and Aaron Carter. I can't stop thinking. Brother in the Illuminati, brother not in the Illuminati. Brother in the Illuminati commits all kinds of heinous crimes against women, and he's okay, but his brother's gone. And all he wanted was his money so he could push on. Like, how many of these things have to happen in front of the public?
And what makes this story even sadder is that Angie Stone died on her son's birthday. Angela's last social media post was her celebrating her little boy. Well, big boy. And however, according to Jaguar Wright, Angie dying on her son's birthday might not have been a coincidence, according to Jaguar Wright.
Of course they're gonna attack, I'll be sure. Of course they're gonna attack me. Of course they're gonna attack anybody who's interested in the truth. Of course they're gonna come at us really hard for that first 72 hours and make sure we stop posting or at least get us flagged from being able to go live so nobody thinks about the details of the fact that we just watch Angie Stone get moved around in real time on her son's birthday. I think it's time for me to call my gematria guy. I think it's time for me to do a live about the numbers.
The numbers make no sense. The fact that, like I said, the
Not
fact
if
that
you
they
look
keep
at
trying
if
to
you look
take
at the
our Bishop.
gematria, if you look at the gematria, the
What
numbers
is that?
line right up.
What is gematria?
It's the basis of numbers as a science. Certain things happen in certain synchronicities, certain numbers. It is what it is. It's always been a greater meaning.
Another strange fact about Angie's death is that there seems to be a lot of secrecy and an attempt to quickly move on from her accident. And according to the Book of Jaguar, the first 72 hours of a celebrity's death are the most crucial to finding out what truly happened.
Actually be said should be being looked at, should be demanding a real investigation.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving me the first 72 after, 72 hours after Left Eye died. It's given 72 hours after Aaliyah died. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird.
Why do they need to wait 72 hours?
Because that's about how long it takes usually for the news feeds to go on and people to forget that it was even important. You get 72 hours to either make an investigation or dead it. You got 72 hours.
And after
I
those
got
72
two.
hours, that's when they say my condolences.
No, that's when they create another tragedy. Something else happens. Something more important than the death of another black singer happens. And then this happens. And then that happens. And then the funeral comes and goes. And that's that. Isn't that how it went with Jackie O?
I don't
Isn't
know.
that how it went with Twitch?
Yes.
Mm.
Until they start, after a couple of months, they start screwing away with the legacy of the person.
Yeah, and then they start making the story whatever they want. They not even there to say nothing about it.
Angie reportedly told her driver, Lethal Carter, to slow down and stop speeding before the van actually flipped over. The truck driver, Jared S. Wilkerson, was driving a CRST truck, and this company doesn't exactly have the cleanest reputation. CRST is allegedly the company that pays its drivers late, allegedly steals from the drivers, and hardly fixes their car if it has issues. CRST is also the company that owns the tractor trailer that caused the accident that almost took the life of actor Tracy Morgan. And just like Angie Stone, Tracy Morgan was also in a Mercedes Sprinter when this accident happened. Tracy Morgan lost his friend and comedian Jimmy Mack to this accident, and Tracy had to be flown to the hospital to survive his injuries. CRST trucks also have outward-facing cameras, but no footage of this accident has been released. Also, when a truck driver slams on their brakes too hard, a red light comes on and starts recording everything happening in front of the truck. If the truck driver is too close to another car, that red light is going to come on. So any of these situations would have triggered the truck to take footage of the accident. Angie Stone's accident happened on I-65 highway near Montgomery, Alabama. I-65 has traffic cameras. These cameras would have also captured the accident, but still no footage of Angie Stone's accident has been released up until this moment. Before this accident happened, Angie Stone had also had another near-death incident. During her IG live stream, Angie revealed that she had to be rushed to the hospital because she wasn't breathing properly. After the doctors performed their test, it was revealed she had a bacterial blood infection. Angie stated that she got the infection after they stuck her with the needle.
I'm going to need each and every one of you guys after I reveal this to share this. The devil was very, very, very particular in targeting me. I was rushed to the hospital because I wasn't breathing so well. Came to find out I had what was a bacterial blood infection that I had gotten when they stuck me with the needle. It had went into my bloodstream and caused a staph infection of the blood. They rushed me into ICU and I went to use the restroom and I passed out. When I came back to, the nurses began to tell me that I was screaming for Jesus, because when I went down, I'm sorry, I didn't know what was happening. All I know is it was all of a sudden I began to praise God and call on his name, because I knew biblically that if I was transitioning, I needed to be calling on Jesus. I'm sorry. I knew it was an attack. I knew it was a spiritual attack. God healed me. He cleared up. People left me in that dark, dark moment when I really needed support. My kids were there for me. My true friends were there for me because they knew this is serious.
Unfortunately, Angie Stone has joined a long list of artists that complained about their record labels stealing from them and then, unfortunately, passing away shortly after. All Angie wanted was her royalties. It's what she deserved because it's what she worked hard for. Angie is no longer with us, but what no one can take away is her legacy and the good music she has left. Rest in peace, Angie, and thank you for being the sunshine that has come. Peace and blessings, y'all.